Some actors perform, others possess the frame. And today's guest, he does both, and then closes the deal as your agent. Please meet Demi Banwo, an arts ed London classically trained actor, film executive, and talent whisperer with a filmography as versatile as Nollywood's plot twist. He lit up the Sundance winning short Lizard, kept the streets talking in Gangs of Lagos, and turned romance into a trilogy in Finding Hubby. He's Shakespeare with Lagos swagger, a graceful act playing the long-term game, both in front of the camera and behind the scenes. Welcome to my chair, Demi Banwo.
Misfits and Dreamers.
Hey, Demi.
How far?
How are
I've
you?
missed you.
I've actually missed you too. To be
Yeah, I've
honest.
missed you. It's been
When
a
last
while.
did we see?
Last time we saw you were pregnant.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, I've hung my boots. So.
Are you sure?
All right, let's get into this. So, I just want to go straight to Nollywood. Gangs of Lagos, The Lost Okoroshi,
Okay.
Lara and the Beats, Finding Hubby, and all of that. What's it been like just penetrating Nollywood? And also, what's it been like, getting cast, auditions, actually getting roles? What's that whole journey been like?
Oh, you didn't start to have you eaten today. What's the weather like outside? Okay, Nollywood. It's been an interesting, 12-year journey now? And I've every day I talk to someone in Nollywood, I'm like, I threaten them that I'm leaving Nollywood. I'm like, I'm leaving Nollywood for you. But no, seriously, I realized that I do love the film industry. I do love Nollywood. And I know a lot of people shy away from calling it Nollywood because there are certain preconceptions that people have when they hear Nollywood. But I think I look at it as a celebration of how far we've come, because we can't discredit what the people before us did, because without them, we wouldn't be here. So I'm actually very proud of the Nollywood name. And for me, it's been a 12-year journey of trials and tribulations, but then also incredible successes, of which Gangs of Lagos was one of them. And so, of course, definitely I started out as an actor in the industry, and I did that. I still do that. I'm still an actor, but I find these days that my path seems to veer more behind the camera for several reasons. Because of the type of actor that I am, because I don't know whether it's the way I look, how I present, I'm very specific about what I do as an actor, because I have a master's in acting, I can't just be doing anything, I can't just be anywhere and everywhere. So I've always been very specific about what I do, and I think that has made it's a bit of a challenge to cast me, and so I realized at some point that I have to start making my own work, which is where production came into the fold. And so I started a production company in 2020, and Gangs of Lagos was one of our first. And I mean, when you start with Gangs of Lagos, when you start with Gangs of Lagos, I mean, the pressure is high. But again, incredible success Gangs of Lagos was, and I think it set the tone for everything that I've done since then as a producer and as I enter this next era of directing, So for me, it's just been an incredible experience of finding the different facets in myself that I didn't even know were there, But yeah, Nollywood it's been fun. It's been fun. I've cried tears, but I've also had some great laughs.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much. So, what do you think are the legacies that make a man?
Manners maketh man. Sorry. What are the legacies that make a man? We always say that what I consider would be one of my greatest legacies is a good name. And I know it sounds like a cliche. You know, they say that, oh, a good name is greater than gold and all of that. And it sounds like a cliche, but I know how much I've gained from the good name that I was given, you know. And I've always said that I want people, not even just my friends, just if somebody can go somewhere and say, Demi Banwo sent me, and the doors just open, I know I've done well. You know, talk less of my friends or my family, because I know the places that I've gone, and I'm like, oh, my name is Demi Banwo, and they're like, are you Femi Banwo's son? And I'm like, yeah, and the door just open. you know, you know. So I've been a beneficiary of a good name, and for me, the legacy is to pass that on to my family, my friends, even strangers. Just the fact that you go somewhere and you say, Demi Banwo sent me, and the next question they ask is, what do you need? For me, that's a good legacy.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it just shows the kind of stellar human being your father is.
FMB.
What's it like? What was it like growing up with him?
You know, I spoke about the trials and tribulations of life.
Oh my God.
Okay. What was it like growing up? Okay, so I come from a family of 3 kids, and I'm in the middle. So I was the middle child. And there's something about middle children where it's like, everybody just assumes you're fine. You know, there's attention on the firstborn, and then you're okay. And then the lastborn comes and everybody is. And especially because there's a big gap between myself and my younger brother. So there's 8 years between us.
Oh, wow.
So he just happened, you know. He just happened. So when he said you hung your boots up, I said,
Demi, let's focus.
sorry.
Focus.
I'm sorry. It took me back when you said that, because I was like, yeah, I feel like I've heard that before. you know. So growing up, I was quite a curious child, and I use curious as a code name for troublesome. So I did get into a lot of trouble as a kid. I know that's very hard to believe, right?
Really? Is
I mean, look at me now.
What? No comment.
I see. But yes, I did get into a lot of trouble as a kid. I just call it, I was curious, you know, curious enough to put a fork in a plug and see what will happen. You know, I actually did that.
Wow.
You know, and of course, a lot of the punishments came from my dad, you know. And, you know, it was one of those things that Momsi would shout. But Popsi doesn't used to shout. You know, Popsi doesn't shout, but you know that you are in trouble, you know. And I think for me, that colored a lot of our relationship growing up, up until COVID, actually, up until COVID. Yeah, there were a lot of things that happened in that area. I'm trying not to get ahead for you. I'm trying not to get ahead for you. But there were a lot of things that happened in that area in that time period that shifted my relationship with my dad completely. Like, I say it all the time that my relationship with my dad is one of my COVID miracles, because I was very grateful for that. I was very grateful for that. Do you want to talk about that now?
Yeah.
I don't want to get too ahead for you.
No, we can't. We can just go back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I said all through sort of life, it's sort of been a, you know, how do I put it? Basically, me and my dad didn't see eye to eye a lot, as expected, you know. But then my mom was my guy, you know, and it got to a point where if I wanted my dad to know something, I'll tell my mom, and she would tell him. If he wanted me to know something, I would get the information from her. And then 2019, my mom died. Right. And it was like, oh, wow. Okay, my guy is gone, And I sort of drifted for a bit. And then COVID happened beginning of 2020. And myself and my dad were locked down together the whole of lockdown. So literally the whole of lockdown was just me and my dad.
So no siblings.
Nope.
Your sister was married at this
My sister
time.
was married. My brother was still in school.
Wow.
So for the whole however months, many months, was it 4 or 5 months, it was literally just me and my dad in the house by ourselves. And I think we became very good. Initially, we became very good at living together, but not necessarily interacting. So he was downstairs, I was upstairs. Maybe we'll see each other at some point. And I think he got COVID, so we didn't have to, But then I remember there was a day when we were sitting together in the living room. And we've been sitting together there for hours, and we didn't say anything to each other. And then around maybe 2 a.m, I was about to go and sleep. So I packed up and I was going to go and sleep. And then the next thing he said was, I hear you don't go to church anymore. This is at 2 a.m. And we've been sitting here for 4 or 5 hours. I'm like, my guy, you could have brought this up earlier, And so he's like, I hear you don't go to church anymore. And then we start that conversation. And then that conversation leads to something else. And then it leads to something else. And it was literally the longest conversation we'd ever had in life.
Wow.
And I think we talked for hours, and we talked about everything. We talked about just everything. And I came out of that feeling like, wow, me and this guy are so similar. And it now made sense why maybe we didn't see it, because we now that I look at it, there are things he says now, and I'm like, guy, are you in my head? And we have the same sense of humor. Our banter now is proper. When my friends hear me when I'm on the phone with my friends and they hear me talking to my dad, they're no, that's my guy now. And it makes sense because in the past, a few of his friends had always said that they're like, look, if you want to get exposed to life, look at your dad because you guys are the same, So I think our relationship has just changed in the last maybe 5 years to the point where now I'm like now my father is not in town and I actually miss him. There are times when I will faff off to Abuja for a few months and they was bringing me back to Lagos because I miss my dad, especially because we live together, So he's actually, a very good housemates. We're very good housemates. So yeah, it's been an interesting few years just navigating the waves of our relationship. Let's see where it takes us.
I love how you were so enthusiastic talking about, the repair of your relationship and the growth of it. It's actually lovely to see. I want to ask you a question.
Hey, God.
It's about so it's like a 2-in-1 question.
Okay.
So do you think that the death of your mom changed your dad's perspective?
Oh, absolutely.
And then how do you think that your dad processing that contributed to the growth of your relationship now? Did you notice how your dad processed? Did you watch him? Did you see how he was hurting?
Well, we'd actually talk about it. So I found that the more we talked, the more comfortable I got with asking him certain things. So we would actually talk about how, so for example, when I was going to start therapy, I spoke to him about it. And, of course, he was like, what's the problem? Is it that you don't have money? I said, no, I have money. Money is fine. Money is not my issue. And so through my experience with therapy, I would talk to him like, this is how things are going. This is how all of that is going. And I think so the first question you asked, did that change him? I think on one level, of course, he must feel more responsible for us now, more responsible for our care now, because to be honest, a lot of it beforehand was on my mom, you know. But now he has to be sort of primarily responsible for us now, to the point where you are going to the hospital, he's going with you. And I'm like, my guy, it's not that serious now. It's cute, but he's a lot more invested in us now on a day-to-day basis. So even now, like, he would ask me, like, how's your brother doing? Have you spoken to your brother? In fact, there was a day my dad said something and I asked him, I was like, wait, have you been going to therapy? And I suspect that he has actually been going to therapy. So I think that it was definitely one of the things that changed him. And I've seen that change. We've even spoken about it. I've asked him the questions of, do you plan on remarrying? How are you coping with this? What are your coping mechanisms? So we actually talk about these things and all of that. So yeah, it's they say everything happens for a reason. I mean, I don't know the grand design that God had with that, but I can see traces of what came out of losing my mom. I can sort of see the quote unquote good that came out of that. I know that sounds weird, but I can see the good that came out of that.
It doesn't sound weird at all. It sounds like growth. Hey. It also sounds like healing. It also sounds like healing. How did you cope, Demi?
How did I cope? Yes, have I coped? I think that's a better question. Have I coped?
So before you answer that, I want you to think about it this way. Your mom was your guy. Mm-hmm. She was your person. Mm-hmm. And at least I know a bit of your relationship with your mom to even understand what that was like, even if it's just a fraction and a half. Your mom was your guy. You were very close. You weren't so close with your dad or to your dad, and you lose her. And so you are left with someone you're not so close to, and you're wondering why she left. How did you cope in that time? Where was your head? What was your headspace like?
At the time, it just sort of felt like, first of all, it felt like life was on pause. And that's almost like a year. It just felt like life was on pause, yeah. And I remember, so there was a film that I made a few years ago, which I think was me processing. Because it was a boxing film. But I always tell people that if you took the boxing out of that film and you listen to what this character was saying, you would have a good idea of how I processed this, because that film was me, like, it was literally me sitting down with the writer of the film and talking about what it felt to lose my mom, how it felt, because the character does lose his mom. It's kind of an autobiographical film, kind of. So the character loses his mom, who was his guy, and all through the film, you hear him say certain things, which I didn't even realize that I was going through. And that was my first time vocalizing it. So for example, talking about feeling like a stranger in my family. Because again, this thing about information flow, it wasn't just with my dad, right? It was sort of like a general family thing. So if something was going on in the family, it's my mom that would let me know. Because I'd sort of always been just a little bit on my own, for the most part. So I don't know if we were traveling or something and everybody has gathered to discuss it, for some reason I'm not there. But it's my mom that would let me know that, yo, guy, we're traveling on this date. And I find that those conversations will still happen, but there's nobody relaying it to me because my mom wasn't there. So it got to a point where I felt like a stranger in my own family. And I then had to make concerted efforts so not even just with my dad, with my siblings, you know. I had to make concerted efforts on those relationships as well. To the point where, again, my brother is like my left artery, my left ventricle, and my sister, every week I'm there at her house with the kids and all of that. So it was, I think it's a gradual process. I mean, this is what, 5, 6 years later. It's a gradual process, and I still find that there are things that would come up that I hadn't sort of I think I remember I was watching something and this guy was fighting with his mom, and it just hit me in a weird place because I'm like, I wish my mom was here to fight with. So it's just those weird things that you don't even know that they pop up from time, and I feel like they'll just keep popping up. So you just kind of grow around. You don't get over it, you just kind of grow around it. And I think I'm still growing around it. That's why when you asked, how did I cope? I don't know if I've coped, because something new can pop up today. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know this was a thing, Yeah, it's one of those things that you can't explain it to someone unless they've been through it, And I remember trying to. So I had some friendships that I lost because of that. And I also have some friendships that I gained because of that. Matter of fact, my closest friendships now came out of that. So my close friends now are very different from who my close friends were at that time. Because at that time, a lot of my close friends didn't know how to process. They didn't know how to process that and how to give me what I needed at the time, which was space. So I had a number of close friends that I lost because I needed space, and they didn't get that. But then the close friends that are my close friends now, you realize that they've all lost a parent or two, And it was in that period that we actually became close friends. Because when I'm like, I don't want to see anybody, I don't want to talk to anybody, they get it. And they're like, let us know when you're ready, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's yeah.
Can I just say that I think that you're doing an amazing job of growing around it. And I also think that your mom will be so proud of you.
See, I told you I'm a hard guy. You can't be saying things like this now.
I think that it's important that you hear it.
Yeah.
I think that she would be so proud.
Yeah.
I also think that she raised a stellar person.
Well, thank you.
Because you don't know, I'm listening to you, and I also think that even your dad, not just on the loss of your mom, but even on his growing up, I think that having a relationship with you has healed him in ways that he didn't even know that he needed. And somehow, I think that you've stepped into your mom's shoes.
That's an interesting thought. That's an interesting thought. I mean, it does make sense, because now I have to take care of him. And it helps that we live together. So. Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Demi Banwo,
talk to me. Huh?
You are now not just taking care of your dad, but you're also taking care of some rising stars in the industry.
Yeah.
What's that like? You are opening doors. I'm legit watching you, and I think the whole world is watching you as well. We're watching how you are building tables and platforms that you didn't get.
You make it sound so great. Yeah, I wake up every morning and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm finding that that's what I'm realizing now.
I don't think anyone
knows what they're doing.
I don't think even the veterans. I don't think anyone knows what they're doing.
It's funny you mentioned something about opening doors, and it took me back to, I think, a few years ago, beginning of the year. I was praying, and what kept coming back was open doors.
Wow.
And in my mind, I was like, okay, open doors are about to open for me, I did not realize that it's me that will be doing security opening the door. Because that's really what that I think that was. I think it was it 2022 or 2020? I think it was about no, it wasn't even further. I think it was like 2021 or so, or even 2027. One of those years, and that was really when that transition sort of happened, where it became less about me and more about other people. You know, and so when you say open doors, that's why it makes me laugh because I'm like, I've been doing security work since and just be opening door for people thinking that, is me. But even in the midst of that, the doors have been opening for me as well.
Of course.
In the midst of that, I think I had to make my peace with certain things because a lot of times it can feel like, especially when you're transitioning from talent to manager, it can feel like you're sacrificing your own sort of career. And I know this because I had a manager in the past who was an actor, who started out as an actor, became a manager, and had to quit. And he quit because it was too hard for him seeing and helping people do the things he always wanted to do and not being able to do them himself, And I understood, at the time I didn't get it, now I do. I get it because I can see how it can feel that way. But I've always sort of known, one thing I've known about myself is that I may not be the guy that does that thing. But when that guy is talking about how he did that thing, one thing he will say is that I couldn't have done it without him. And I have countless stories of that so far. Like, I was sitting at a table with like 6 or 7 actors like a year ago, and everybody was just talking about how, their big break or their big thing came from a call I made or came from something I did or came from an audition I sent them to. And I'm like, okay, this feels good. This feels good. I'm like, just save me a chapter in your biography. So again, like I think that with me, it's always been the grand picture is still the same. That's the end picture is still the same. The journey is what has changed and what keeps changing. So right now I'm just along for the ride because we can have this conversation next year and it's completely different. It's completely different. So I'm just along for the ride now. Stop fighting the flow.
I think that your dad has also done a stellar job of raising you because it sounds to me like you are, excuse me. It sounds to me like you have been influenced in terms of legacy.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I make it sound like every day. See, like 2 weeks ago, I woke up and I was like, God, which of my decisions in life was a mistake? Because I'm sure it's all sounding great now, but literally, I was in about a month ago. That was a conversation I had with myself and God. That God, tell me now, which of the decisions I made was a mistake? Was it choosing to be an actor, not a lawyer, or choosing to come back to Nigeria? Which one was it? Because I have to have made a mistake somewhere because I cannot be going through this at this point in time. So it hasn't always been great. And I find that a lot of times we don't talk about the not so great states. We're so great about talking about, when it's nice and all of that. We're also not as good as talking about the not so great days. And I'm very particular about sharing those because you realize that I think that's what gets people through. Is seeing that, okay, this person that I look up to went through this thing I'm going through. So it means there's hope for me. I can get through it as well.
But isn't that what legacy is about? It's not just about the fun part.
I mean, trust fund is also a nice legacy. Trust fund is also a nice legacy.
But I don't think that it'll be realistic because, to be honest, in order for you to get to a place where you have fun, you must have built something. And building requires grit. It requires resilience. It requires the difficult conversations where you question God and question if you made a mistake somewhere in your life. It also requires you leaning into vulnerability, which I see that this is something you're big on.
Yeah.
The boxing movie with Toby, and which literally has your story inside of it.
Yeah.
And also this recent series that you built,
Which one?
the one where you get different actors to sit
Running lines.
and speak
yes,
about running lines. Yes, I was trying to remember the name. And speak about what auditions are like. Excuse me, what auditions are like, what it's like being rejected, the hassles of everything. The last episode where you and Toby actually sat down to speak was really inspiring in terms of vulnerability. And I think that it carried what you just spoke about, which is talking about the not so great times and the not so great days. So do you think that vulnerability is something, it's like a huge value in the legacy that you also want to leave behind?
In the legacy that I leave behind?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I remember there was a time when on my Instagram page, I started talking about my experiences with therapy, depression, and all of that. And somebody had, in fact, not even just one person, a few people had called me and were like, why are you talking about that? Take it down, And I'm like, well, first of all, they thought something was wrong. I'm like, no, for me to be posting this, first of all, I'm already past it. I'm already past whatever was going on. And for me, it's more important for other people to see that it's not always great. Because social media has a way of making it look like it's sunny every day, everyone is having a great day and all of that. And it's very easy to feel like it's just you that's going through this thing, so there's something wrong with you. But in my experience, even in sharing, I start to have conversations with people that I look up to, and they're telling me about when they went through what I'm going through. I'm talking to my aunts, I'm talking to my uncles who are very successful now. And they're talking about literally when they went through this, except that the only difference is they didn't have the words for it. They didn't have the terminology for it, What we call therapy now, my aunt will tell you that she had a friend that she used to talk to.
Yeah.
So they didn't have the words and the terminology for it, but they went through the same things, and that's why I'm very particular about being vocal, about being vulnerable, because you never know whose life you're saving. You never know who is sitting there thinking, oh, something must be wrong with me because I'm the only one going through this. But then when you open Instagram and you see that, oh, this person that I look up to actually went through this and got through it. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with me, and I can get through this, And I always say that I feel like, for me, I always want, and I'm very specific about that on my Instagram page, I always want you to come to my Instagram page and leave feeling better than you did when you got there. I don't know what, I don't know the parameters of that. But the idea is that you get to my page and by the time you're leaving, you feel better about yourself than you did when you got there. So I guess that's part of the legacy. And I also do that with me as a person, right? You walk into a room and make sure that people notice when you've left because you're not there anymore. Your light is not there anymore, So those are the things that I look at as, if I do those, I'm gonna make a lot of money. That's my legacy right there. What is your legacy?
What is my legacy?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because you talk about vulnerability. If there's anybody I know in this life that vulnerability is their watchword, it's you and your husband. It's you and your husband. So was that an intentional decision, or did it just happen?
It became an intentional decision. The funny thing is, I know now. I know. I didn't know before that I've always been called to be vulnerable because right from when I was growing up, I was always the one who would express however I was feeling, whatever I was going through. But the world we live in now is very different because back then there was a shame culture that was very much the norm.
Yeah.
And so it's like you can't just say stuff, which some people still say now, but it's different now. And you're going through anything, just hush. Not everyone has to know. And why always you,
Yeah.
But then growing up, I realized that, especially like when my relationship with God intensified, got more serious, I realized that vulnerability is a currency in heaven. And it's something that God really wants to be. When you say, how scripture says that the kingdom of this world will become the kingdom of our God. God really just wants to replicate what's in heaven here on earth.
Yeah.
And there are certain people he has actually gifted with, like, you are just vulnerable. You don't even have to try. But because of the way the world is, they try to take that from you or shut you up.
Yeah.
And so I realized that it's a way that God had made me. And it's a way that God had also made my husband. And when we came together, we realized that God really does bring people together for a reason. I remember when we first got married, God gave us, it was actually, no, not when we first got married, 2 years after, during COVID, God actually gave us this word of being a glass house, and I kept having dreams of living in a glass house and just people would be around just watching. Like, how you're just looking at a dollhouse and just doing stuff and people are just watching. And, and then I realized that it's actually, it's more than a calling. God had actually just said, this is how I want you to live. But I'm not even sure that that's my legacy. I really believe that my legacy is just to touch as many lives as I can. I want it to be that, not just through me. I want it to be that I'm living and expressing every way that I am. And that, like Martin Luther King said, you be the best street sweeper that ever lived. So that when you go, whoever is on earth, and even the angels will point to the corner where you're sweeping and say, there lived the greatest street sweeper ever. So that other people can in turn look at that and say, I can actually live out loud as well. I can express as much as I can. I can be as much as I can, like unapologetic, not thinking about what anybody has to say, impacting as much as I can, because there's so much work to do.
Yeah.
There's so much work to do. So and also I want it to be that generations after me, my kids' friends, they look at it and they're always thinking of the next person. Always thinking of how to impact, not from a selfish point of view, but how can we be the village? How can we be community for you? And I think that's how we're going to change the world.
I like that.
Speaking of what people would say,
Okay.
so this is from you, actually. So I should have just said it and said, tell me if it sounds familiar. Anyway, it says, the first thing your talent should do is read the script before accepting the project. Sometimes the money is not fantastic, but the opportunity is. And sometimes some projects don't work on all fronts and you let it go. Demi Banwo.
Yeah, that does sound like me.
Okay, so this one says, if a movie was to be made about you, what would the title be and who would play the lead character? And this person says, Jack of many trades, Demi Banwo.
I said that?
No, you didn't say it. Somebody said it.
Oh, somebody said that.
Yeah, somebody said it about you.
Huh.
And I do agree because, we didn't even talk about the fact that you graduated from, or you trained at the Arts Educational Schools, London.
Yes.
You have a versatile background in TV, in musical theater, in stage, in radio. Hello.
Radio.
In film. It's amazing. You really are a jack of many trades. And now talent management.
Yeah.
You have a whole agency.
I used to hate that quote, jack of all trades, master of none. I used to hate it until I learned the full quote.
What's the full quote?
So it's actually jack of all trades, master of none is better than master of one. That's the actual full quote.
I feel like this is how people read the Bible. They don't read the whole
actual
chapter.
Full quote. So people just say jack of all trades, master of none, and they stop there.
Some people even stop at jack of all trades.
And they make it sound like a bad thing. But the full quote is better than master of one. I'm like, okay, cool.
You take it.
I'll take it.
Okay, then this says, after exposure comes thoughts. After thoughts, pending the direction, comes action. After action comes growth. Exclamation mark. Demi Banwo inspired this without him knowing.
Please, who is this Demi Banwo guy that people are talking about? Because I'm like, yo, I need to meet him. Huh? I need to meet him. I mean, it's interesting hearing all these things because, to be honest, it's not like I set out to do any of this. It really always just came from a place of. So it's interesting. I don't know whether it's my relationship with God or my relationship with life in general. The things I do tend to come from a place of being frustrated with how things are or how things are for me. So production came from the fact that I was a frustrated actor, and I'm like, okay, I need to. Talent management came from the fact that I was a frustrated actor who needed a manager who understood. And then I realized that, okay, I actually know more about this than the managers I'm talking to, because I was talking to a manager and at the end of the conversation, he's like, Demi, you don't need a manager. You need to be a manager, So I can't say that I sat down one day and I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. It's just that I got to a place where I'm like, okay, this isn't working anymore. What can I create to serve this need that I have that happens to be a need that everybody else has, So, I mean, it sounds selfish, but it usually always started from me. Like, what do I need? If it's not there, I'll create it. And then it then now serves other people. So talent management came from, I needed a manager. So interestingly, one of my partners is the person who I wanted to manage me. So I then got him to be a partner in there. So I got him to be my manager, basically. But when you lay it out like that, it all sounds great. But again, I don't know what I'm doing.
It truly does sound good. I think that sometimes when we're building from the inside out, we don't know what the outside looks like.
Yeah.
It's people who are standing on the outside who can see as what we're building as it's growing. So I think you're doing pretty good.
Thank you.
So I'm going to wrap up now, but
Okay.
with everything you've spoken about, it sounds to me like you're already taking up like fatherhood roles. But what do you think? What do you think about fatherhood in today's society?
What do I think about father? Am I qualified to speak on that? I don't think I'm anybody's father that I know of. What do I think of? In today's society, it must be hard. I mean, I don't think it was ever easy, but I think it must be even harder to be a father in today's society because things are so different from when we were growing up. Like, I can only imagine how, it's funny that they say we grow into our parents, we become our parents. And I can see how that is because even with my younger brother, right? And brother, there was a time when, so whenever he fights with my parents, he will come to me to come and console him. And it got to a point where he was like, Demi, you're always on their side. And I'm like, yeah, because they're always right. And I was like, I know from me, right? And I'm like, oh, wow, I'm becoming my parents, But I think that with the way the world is right now, like kids have access to so much that you as a parent, you have to do so much more work in filtering what they have access to, in like, it must be hard. It must be, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. And I pray for everybody that is doing it right now. I don't know when I'll be ready for it, but let's see.
But when you are ready for it, what do you hope to give your kids?
A solid foundation. And for me, a solid foundation, the way I was raised is the starting point, right? That's the standard because I think I won the greatest lottery that I never played, which was the family I was born into. Like I couldn't have picked better myself. And for me, for my kids, that's the beginning point. The way I was raised is the standard, and it gets better from there. I think that as in raising kids, a lot of times we try to not make the mistakes our parents made, but I think that maybe we overcorrect and then make our own mistakes along the way. But what I want to give my kids, the way I was raised, is the bare minimum, and then it's all up from there. It's all up from there. And that's in every aspect of life.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so last thing before I ask you our closing out questions.
Okay.
It's been 6 years. Your mom passed.
Oh, I haven't cried yet. Oh my gosh. This is growth.
I'm happy about that. What would you want to say to your mom right now?
Can you come back? What would I want to say to her right now? It still doesn't make sense, but I hope that we're making you proud. I hope. That's in the sum total of everything. I hope that we're making you proud. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Demi.
Thank you.
So, who's your daddy?
Who's my daddy?
Yes.
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
No, we get this all the time. We get it all the time. Wait, before you answer that, aside from your dad, have you had any other fatherhood figures in your life? People who have shaped the values and principles that you have?
Yeah.
You can give us
absolutely.
like 2 examples.
So there are a number of them, because the other thing that my father had was great friends who have impacted us. So even when I talk about the standard of the things that I do, I always tell people that there are some people that whatever I'm doing, the standard is excellence because it has to meet their standard. So even if I'm making a film, I'm like, there are some people that this film has to make sense for, and those are my parents' friends, So you have Aso Igodalo, who's my father's partner and is my godfather, and they've been there all through my life, down to the little things. They taught me how to use a fork and knife. You have Shola Adikwetu, that's my father's best friend, and these are people that have played basically that fatherhood role all through life, even till today, and there are a number of them. Like my father has great friends, and that's the other thing. I know it sounds weird. Like when I look at my friends, I think I told my best friend the other day. I was like, my mom would have loved you because he never met my mom, and it's always at the back of my mind that the friends I have, they need to be people that my parents would love, and I think I've done a very good job of picking good friends so that my kids too can say, daddy's friends, they're on point,
So good.
Yeah.
So who's your daddy?
Who's my daddy? I'm sorry, the context for that is just always...
I know.
Can you rephrase that?
So when we ask me...
Can you do like a supercut of everybody's reaction to that?
To be honest, for every time I've asked this question, I've really held myself. It's with only you that I've been able to laugh out loud. Because every time I look at it, I'm just like, I really want to ask Udo that
Hey, who's
why,
your daddy?
why are we using this? Like,
Like, who is your father? you know?
Oh my God.
Who's my dad? He's some great guy. His name is Femi Banwo, aka Fembi. Or Femi Olubanwo, but Femi Banwo has a nice ring to it.
It does.
Yeah, it has a nice ring to it. But yeah, Fembi, that's my guy.
So good. All right. So last question. Are you a misfit or a dreamer?
Oh, absolutely a dreamer. Absolutely. Like, I live in my dreams. And it's now to make those dreams a reality. That's my goal. To make the dreams a reality.
So good.
Yeah.
Demi, thank you.
Thank you for having me. And for keeping my street cred.
Yes.
Because I was expecting the tears. Actually, from you, not from me.
From me?
Yes, I was
Actually,
expecting tears
I really thought that I was going to, especially.
And if you had started, it would have been a problem.
Yeah.
It would have been a problem. If you had started crying, it would have been a problem. Because I wouldn't be able to.
I can't afford it because, I fought for my life fixing these lashes. I can't afford it.
Well, thank you for having me. It was an absolute
Thanks for
pleasure.
coming, Demi.
Yeah.
Thank you.